Dürersche Penta Hexa by Alexander Philipp Asmus. Here we see the geometry of Albrecht Dürer's famous drawing, which represents the creation of humanity and the creation of the human DNA. Scientists, polymathematicians, as well as philosophers have used this model with the conclusion that the hexagon represents the macrocosm and the pentagon represents the microcosm. In fact, the entire scientific world is convinced that this is so. Alan Green, in his video on the numbers 6 and 5, the bend pyramid and precession, says, "In sacred geometry, 5 and 6 have always represented the microcosm and macrocosm respectively." I asked the question, how do scholars know that it really is so? I have the impression that they have adapted it without looking in detail. Because my studies and my work have convinced me that what they are thinking worldwide is not correct, and I can demonstrate it through several points of my work. The union of two circles philosophically also represents the union of two living beings and the creation of a third being. From there on, human history begins. Symbolically, with this union also begins the formation process of what the human DNA represents. The union of heavens with earth, macrocosm with microcosm. Every single human carries both within the DNA. When drawing the diagram of what I call the painter's way, one must first draw the vertical and the horizontal line within the Vesica Piscis. Now the third, lower circle can be drawn, and by connecting the oversections it is possible to make the hexagon. And through the diagonal lines in the center, one can finally draw the pentagon. This sequence of drawing probably is the reason why science to this day thinks that the hexagon comes first and that it represents the macrocosm. I think this is a mistake, and my argumentation is as follows. Creation does not need to connect the points of overlap like the rational brain of humans. Neither it needs ruler and pencil as a painter. When the second circle appears, the pentagon is instantaneously formed. Only with the third circle the hexagon can appear. Symbolically, this means that the Heavenly Father, the pentagon, first existed and sent a divine spark, and Mother Earth, the hexagon, was formed. So is it also the man's semen that enters the woman's ovum in order to create a new living being. In relation to humanity, this does not mean that the feminine did not exist before. It is certain that both already existed. But in view of creation of the human DNA, this means that the macrocosm existed before the microcosm. That we are created by heavens, by something that is much bigger than us. The fact that the pentagon, the macrocosm, the sky, appears in the geometry above the hexagon, the microcosm, Earth, is not a coincidence. Every human being carries both parts of creation within the DNA. The parts of the hexagon and the pentagon standing out of the first two circles of creation. They represent the bridge to the two worlds. The pentagon connects the ceiling of the sky with the macrocosm, with the Heavenly Father. And the hexagon connects the grounding earth with the microcosm, with Mother Earth. For this same reason, the roof of the pentagon is the same as the two capstones above the chambers of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And the horizontal connection with Earth can also be found. This is not a coincidence. In the symbology of numbers, it is the even number that is female and the odd number that is male. What is holistically confirmed in all ancestral cultures as well as theological or esoteric scriptures is the fact that Earth is female and sky is male. This also plays in the case of the Penta, 5, and the Hexa, 6. As humanity until now has confused the Earth with the sky, I'm convinced that now it will be possible to rebalance masculine and feminine energy and take the right direction. A very important observation is that the sky, the macrocosm, cannot without the earth, the microcosm. Both are part of creation, but neither of them is more important. It is rather that one cannot exist without the other. Man cannot without woman, and woman cannot without man. Earth cannot without heavens, and heavens cannot without earth. That is why it is important to always have contact with both planes. And since we are on earth, first the anchor with the feminine must exist, and only then we can find oneself in a balanced way with the masculine. The connection of both realms must exist continuously. I can explain you how that works. Do you want to know more secrets from the universe? So, please support the School of Quantic Science.